Yes.
Okay,
People have been loving the politics coverage on the show, so let's definitely
100%. Let's keep it up. All right, we are live on YouTube, and we are starting the show officially in 3, 2. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Club. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we're coming to you on this sunny Tuesday night. It is brisk weather outside with a chance of rain.
What is
so,
happening?
hey, wear a coat, bring an umbrella, and don't forget to stay warm here on Comic Book Club. You know how it is. What's going on, guys? How are you?
Patreon thank yous.
Great to see you, 2021, the year of the beard.
It
Comic
is.
Beard Club.
Exactly. I mean, Justin, you know, nobody can tell what's going on the audio podcast right now. We're doing video here on Crowdcast. We got it simulcast on YouTube over on the tube. Hello, everybody over there. But for the audio podcast, we are all growing amazing beards. And
let's not get cocky about it.
The best beards anyone has ever seen.
I don't know about all that.
Award-winning beards.
Nope.
You know what's weird though is Alex, your beard looks surprisingly like Pete's. Like it's like a little section. It's like a section of Pete is overtaking your face.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna keep my eye out on the amount of times you tell me to fuck off or whatever. I'm worried.
Fuck off. Oh God.
Once the beard takes the mouth, that's basically the podcast.
You gotta call him a piece of shit. That's always.
The tongue is the beard of the mouth, I always say.
Patreon thank yous.
Yes, Pete's got to get to it because he is flipping out here. Once a month, for those of you who are new tuning in or don't know about this, we have a bunch of people who awesomely support us over on Patreon, patreon.com/comicbookclub. And one of the levels we give folks a shout outs here on the podcast. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to read off some names of people who amazingly have supported our show, particularly in this time. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. Kicking it off with Aaron C. Hollis,
Adam Marks,
Adriel Moreland,
Elena Fontenot,
Amy Gonzalez,
Andrew Tillman,
Benjamin Brown,
Carly Welsh,
Chris Terlizzi,
Clemens Luer,
Corby Dorby Doodle,
Curtis LaRock,
Deman Ryan,
Dan Snow,
Daniel Cabral,
Daniel Fuentes,
Daniel Warden,
Danny Heck,
Danny Ali,
Debbie Gloom,
Dennis Scott,
Dylan L.J.,
Eduardo Martinez,
Eric Dorian,
Jeffrey Reicher,
Gerard De Villiers,
James Connolly, perfect accent,
James Kurtz,
Jason Donahue,
Jolene,
John George,
Jonathan John,
Joshua Gibson,
Joshua W. Broxson,
Catherine Anderson,
Casey Newhaven,
keep masking up, motherfucker, don't stop yet,
believe it,
Kevin Grimes,
Kevin Kleinrock,
Kieran Broderick,
Cody Thomas,
Lee Brown,
Luana Thomas,
Lucas Sink,
Mark Zeller,
Megan Thigpen,
Mike DiArgentina,
oof, Ian Mitchell McDonald,
Nelson Martinez,
Nelson Martinez,
no, Nick Broughton,
oh my God,
Nick Grayson, official CBC chef Brett Macris,
Omnia Soul Art, Pete's been taken out of the chain,
Oren Dix. Oh, are we going this way now? Pedro A. Rangel. This is out of control.
Pete's Punisher Slippers,
Prime Time, Polly G,
Rev Mikey,
Sarah Schutenmuller,
Sarah Schaefer,
Scott Carpenter,
Scott England,
Jamila Rush,
The 12 Batch,
Victor Perez,
Will Buchanan,
and Zika's Viral Comics. Thank all of you so much for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. You are all awesome. And now I'm going to take a little bit of a swerve to thank somebody else. This is a little more serious, but this is something that we were alerted to. We didn't realize this. We were alerted to by a bunch of our Patreon Slack members. Specifically, I believe it was Ben and Grace who figured this out. We had a longtime listener of the show, a fan of the show. You might remember him. He was on Trivia once or twice. He was definitely here in the Crowdcast chat, named Mike Beneke. Unfortunately, he passed away on November 5th. Which is awful news. He had a family that he left behind. I believe it was 52. So really, obviously, like a emotional swerve here that we're bringing this up. But we can't tell you how much his friendship, his commenting, his being involved in the show meant to us. He was so kind and so wonderful, and we know not to call out too much of what was going on with him, but he did talk pretty openly about how he would listen to the podcast while he was going through chemotherapy, and it really helped a lot. And I mean, that is beyond humbling to hear something like that. The one thing that I did want to read, he has a memorial page at the Windmill Ridge funeral service. There's a memorial coming up on January 9th, and there was one section of the obit on his page that seemed particularly applicable to the show, so I wanted to read that since obviously they knew him even better than we did. Michael was an avid comic book collector and had been reading and collecting since middle school. Over the years, he had dragged his family to comic book conventions, Superman festivals, and several other comic book related gatherings. He met published artists, famous actors, and acquired an extensive collection of artwork, collectibles, and memorabilia, especially for his favorite character, Shazam. He was also a huge sports fan. Michael held St. Louis Rams season tickets for the entire time the Rams were in St. Louis and rarely missed a home game. He also loved the Chiefs, the Blues, the Cardinals, and the Royals. If it was a Missouri team, he had a shirt on while watching their games. Likewise, his family attended games for all of these sports and were convinced to stand in line to receive autographs from many of the professional athletes. And in fact, for the memorial that's coming up, they have asked that everybody in attendance who would like to wear their favorite geeky or sport-related clothing, which is really sweet and wonderful. So yeah, there you go. Obviously a sad thing to start off on. I'd also mention that thanks to the kind support of everybody in Patreon, which is the way this ties us together, we bought what is hopefully a really, really nice gift basket that we sent to the family that I believe they should get in time before the memorial on behalf of us and on behalf of Comic Book Club as well. So thank you to everybody who brought this to our attention. Thank you to the Patreon folks for supporting us, being able to do this for Mike's family. And most of all, thank you to Mike. We miss you and wish you could come to a show, but we'll be thinking of you.
Shout out to Mike. He was very public with what was affecting him. And I think that's super important because I think that's how we knew that we had lost him. And I think you got to talk about the shit going on in your life. So it's good. And I got to hear about what the Superman festival is. What does that even mean?
No, I don't know. I think, isn't there something that happens once a year in what's supposed to be Superman's birthplace where they have a big Superman party in the streets? I don't remember where it is exactly, but I think it's something.
Krypton? Do you mean Krypton?
Yes, it's in Krypton. We'll head there. All right. Smooth treasures in there. I will mention we have two great guests for you on the show today. They are the creators of a new book called Savor that comes out tomorrow from Dark Horse Comics. Welcome them into the stream right now. We got one of them right here. We got Neil Kleid. Yeah. Hopefully we got John Broglia also coming in here to talk about the book. How you doing, Neil?
Good. What's going on?
Not much.
Great to see you.
Beer Club.
Yeah.
What's up?
We all got it.
John,
look at
this fresh-faced young man.
John, man,
I blew it. I totally blew it. I shaved today. I actually shaved today, and now I don't match.
It's great to see someone keeping up their hygiene. That's really beautiful.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
No, I commend you for taking out what I think is called a razor and shoving it on your face.
Yeah. No, thank you guys for coming on the show. Very excited to have you here, particularly with your book launching tomorrow. Neil, we had you on the show to talk about it a couple of months ago, but now it's here. It's finally coming out.
Here.
How does that feel? How does it feel the night before a book comes out for you? What is that?
Well, it felt great until I decided to go to my local shop about an hour ago to get a copy and maybe sign a few, and to find out that for some reason the warehouse here in North New Jersey has not delivered copies to anyone in North New Jersey.
No.
So I know John got copies in Long Island, but there it is.
That's nice.
But sadly, I will not see a copy maybe until next week. But it feels great.
Just extends the fun.
Yeah, no, it feels great. I haven't actually had a book on the shelf in a while, like a graphic novel. It's actually been 10 years since my last graphic novel was on the shelf. I mean, I've had other stuff since then, but there's really nothing like that, like Disney night before Disney World, sitting up and like randomly checking the internet to see if anyone's actually talking about it. And also kind of getting your ducks in the row because you want to promote it, you want to talk about it, but you don't want to drive people crazy. And it feels good. It's just you're kind of hoping that like, will people like it?
Yeah, it works out.
Well, right. Will people enjoy it? John, you've done this too.
This is the same thing for me. It's actually been about 10 years, I want to say, since I've had something on the shelves. Same situation. We've done like anthologies and short stories and stuff like that, but to have, a full book or a series out on the shelves, I've done a lot of Kickstarter recently, so stuff has been going directly to the fans.
Right.
But to have something in the shops there's nothing like that. I have to say, there's nothing like that, and it's been a very long time.
Yeah, we get comps. We get like books sent to us by the publisher, but there's nothing like going into a store on Wednesday and seeing it there on the shelf and picking it up and kind of like secretly hoping that people like know that you're the person that created it, and you're kind of like, you know. But really,
I loudly announce it. I don't.
Whenever you walk into a comic store,
John carries a megaphone and he walks in and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, look at me."
Tell us about the book, because the book's great, and it's really like, I think it may have taken 10 years to get this book, to get a new book on the stands, but it's such a special book which takes you along for like a wild ride. That's just it's full of fun ideas, like, and it's a great combination of my interest as well as, I assume, yours. So walk us through it.
So so the book is it's really for anyone from 10 and up, and the idea was that John and I really wanted to make a book that like our kids could read. Most of my other books that I've written are really like for adults. They're dramatic, and this was like an adventure story that we wanted to create our own world in. And the idea is that Savor Batnet is an adventuring chef. She comes from an island, a fictional island in the Pacific, that is a culture of warrior chefs, people who love to cook, they love to fight, and they sort of marry the two. And it's kind of like food utopia. And there's always somebody that's kind of guarding the island and making sure that, it's peaceful and what have you. And she goes away for 6 years to learn how to be a chef and a warrior. And when she comes back, she finds that a band of demon pirate chefs have taken over the island. And she has to basically fight her way through 5 deadly restaurants to put together the pieces of this like ultimate sword that she can then use to go beat the main pirate, this guy Habanero, which is a play on habanero.
My favorite one of those the puns is Thai food Mary.
Yeah,
very good.
So if you're gonna buy Savor, just know that you're getting a book that's really fun and is about food and is about adventure. But there are like a shitload of dad puns in there. There's just so many puns.
So many good ones. So many good ones. Neil killed it on all of the all the characters' names and just all the puns. They're fantastic.
Yeah. So that's what the book is about. It was kind of a decent road to get here. Been pitching it for a couple of years, and John and I actually met through Mike Oming. John and I both did a story in Where We Live Now, the anthology for the Image anthology for Las Vegas, the Survivors of Las Vegas. And John and I met at a signing for that, and Mike was like, "Oh, you guys have to work together." And we just kind of got to talking, and I sent up a bunch of stuff, and this was the one that we both kind of said, like, this is it. This is for our daughters, for our kids. And I think it's been great. John killed it along with Frank Reynoso, our colorist, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. But they did a fantastic job, and I'm looking forward to hopefully doing more books with them.
If I may summarize it real quick, it's like Polynesian samurai written and drawn by hungry people. That's a fair with cell phones.
Yeah, no, it's got a lot of great influences, which was kind of key. There's a little bit of Legend of Zelda in it. There's a lot of Moana in it, like those Disney adventures. Moana and Mulan. I think we had one of the blurb on the front of the book sort of best summed it up, where it says it's Moana meets Iron Chef, with a little bit of Mortal Kombat in it.
John, could you talk a little bit about developing this world? Since obviously, like Neil is touching on, there are influences there. There are things that you're using, but pulling them all together in one place, creating this landscape, creating the architecture, what was that like?
It was a lot of work. It was just so much fun doing all of it. Neil really painted his own picture in the script and the description of everything. We kind of knew from the start, just from reading what he had put down, the look we were going for. We knew, like he said, Moana. We knew that we wanted like a beautiful island and a lot of colors, and we knew we wanted a mix of cultures, and it was a lot of world building, but it was an absolute blast doing all of it. It really is. Like it's just a fun world to play in, and there's a lot of reference, just a lot of reference and a lot of back and forth, and if you see, you'll see in some of the backgrounds that there's just a lot of mixture of culture, because in Neil's writing there's a lot of mixture of the foods. There's a lot of mashup in the styles of each restaurant, so we had to portray that in the image of the restaurant and in what some of the people living on the island were wearing and how they were acting. It was a lot of world building, but it was great.
I'd also love to hear either one of you talk. Maybe this is more a question for Neil, but just the use of technology in the book. That was something that was very surprising to me, just because with this sort of thing, you expect it's going to be, it's a fantasy setting. They're using swords. They're battling with food. But there's also iPods and phones and apps like you've been touching on. So what led to that choice, and how did that kind of change how you approach the setting of the book?
So I think anytime that you're going to create a world, especially a contemporary world, you can't avoid that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. It's funny because a couple years ago, I got a chance to pitch a Batman story that unfortunately didn't come out. But I wrote the Batman story, and when you think about Batman, and especially like there's a lot of relationship between him and Commissioner Gordon and the police and what have you. And I remember I had this rooftop scene, and it was the way I wrote it. It was Batman talks to Gordon, and he pulls out a folder full of like police reports, what have you. And the editor's like, no, that would be an iPad, right? That would not be a handful of like old folders, what have you. You would have technology. And it really kind of got me thinking.
Commissioner Gordon, what's your Wi-Fi? I need to just quickly download these files.
The password is Batman Be Gone. And so it got me thinking. That was a while ago, but every time I've written a story since then, I really, especially if it's a contemporary story, you really want you can't have something that feels like, no, that wouldn't happen now, right? So like when you're talking about a kid, especially, somebody my daughter's age who's younger, my daughter lives on her device, right? So she's always on her iPad, she's on her iPhone, and it's sort of like it's prevalent. It's always there, and it's not something that you can kind of like conveniently right away and say like, oh, there wouldn't be a device, what have you. What John and I did though was cheat a little bit and actually say that there is really no cell service on the island. So we really played into that aspect where she has a phone but she can't really use it, and what we wanted to do is really show that she loves music but she's got this old school iPod and she can't really download her phone music on her phone. But the great thing about it is that it becomes a set piece. Like it becomes part of the plot, to a point where like there's an app that only she can get, and it really unlocks something that she needs later on. And it's sort of like magical when it shows up, right? It like pops in and you're like, wait a minute, there's no service. How, but that's like part of the magic. So really getting to tie it into the plot was kind of nice, without having to really steer clear of the fact that, kids are on their phones.
And I love that though, because I feel like that incongruity really makes you lean into the story. It's like, oh, this is a fully original world. It's not just like, oh, it's a fictional island and there's swords. It's like, oh no, this is a combination. It's more deliberate, the choices here.
Yeah, and I mean that's why we could have set this on like Hawaii, right? We could have set it on an actual fictional island and then really kind of play into and like. But what John and I really wanted to do was really create something that felt like it's kind of like you said before, a mashup of a lot of our influences on a lot of things that we love, and really kind of create something that stands on its own.
I wanted to say that I really enjoyed the pacing, the action, and all the storytelling was really impressive. You can tell this is written by or put together by people who have been doing this for a while, and it doesn't feel like, because when you start something like new, this idea, there is this kind of like okay, we got to get an origin story. Let's slow things down because we're going to give them a lot of information. But it's just kind of you're trusting the reader and rolling with the action, which I really appreciate. Also, I wanted to say, love the Hungry Hippos bit in there.
Yes.
Yes, that was actually that's something that we've sort of been trying to keep under wraps. We haven't been putting it into previews. We haven't been like showing it to any. No. It's the book's out tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
But we've actually been. That was kind of a thing that we really liked. And I'm sorry, Pete, we didn't put a McRib in there for you.
Hopefully volume 2.
Well, John, speaking about the food in particular, that always seems like a very difficult thing to me to tackle from an artistic perspective, particularly when you're creating things that are crazy, fantastical dishes or complicated dishes like they are here. How do you tackle that? How do you come up with reference for something like a weird octopus stew?
Neil would throw at me what the actual dish should look like. Mm-hmm. And then be like, oh, it's mashed up with this actual dish, and then we'd have to kind of like throw it together. And again, it was just so much. It's all of it was fun. Like you can't use any other word for it. Like it's every time we had to reference something, it was all part of the enjoyment of it. Like trying to figure these things out as we go. It was part of the challenge, but the challenge was really part of the enjoyment. It was excellent.
So one of my favorite bits was that. Was it 2 weeks ago, a week ago, John, Frank, and I decided to put this really quick 3-page comic up online. And the idea was that we were going to do the Savor holiday special, right? Like the Star Wars holiday special. And it was really just kind of a way to lead into the book. It's set right before the book starts. And we basically decided they were going to have a Savor and Coriander, who's the other woman on the cover. We're going to have a snowball fight with the other chefs at the restaurant. But the idea was that because it's in a tropical climate, there's no snow really. So they're having a snowball fight with mashed potatoes. I cannot tell you how many emails went back and forth between John, Frank, the colorist, and myself. Just like, is it too white? Is it yellow?
Yeah.
Like, how do we color potatoes?
Whole serious conversations, by the way. Serious conversations about mashed potato drawing.
Well, you want good consistency.
You gotta believe it. Yeah, you gotta believe it's mashed potatoes.
This is the life of comic book creators.
I just want to mention that in the comics here, we do have Stray Bullet, who is our official CBC chef. This is actually no joke. He is a legit amazing chef in New Orleans. He is saying he's going to review the book based on the dishes presented. So I would get a little worried there.
Wow.
So there's a recipe in the back. The first slider, and then there's a few just kind of like dishes throughout, but that's the only one that's got the recipe in there. And the holiday comic actually had a recipe for mashed potato snowball croquettes. So I may be pronouncing that word, but definitely go check it out. And it's all trial and error. If it tastes terrible, I'm a comic book writer.
I just food. I cannot cook it.
Well, so speaking of food, though, if you had to go into a food battle right now, somebody is like, okay, I challenge you to a food battle. No rules, no like 5 things in a box or anything like that. But you have any ingredients you want. What's your go-to dish? What do you cook?
For me, it has to be done on the barbecue. That's the only time I can cook.
Respect.
Yeah, it's going to either be a nice London broil or a good steak.
Difficult soup course. The soup course is going to be hard.
Or I'm a breakfast guy. I can make a mean omelet.
Are we talking about a cook-off, or are we talking about like using food to fight like they do in the book?
No, like a cook-off.
Then I lose.
Cook-off.
I'm going to eat it.
So for both, I'll go with chili. I make a pretty mean chili because not only can you enjoy chili, which I love, but you can actually use it to throw in somebody's face.
Well, thanks for that. Luana Nana wanted to know food fight and cook-off. So I think, Neil, you covered both of them. John, is there a piece of food that you would bring to a legit food fight?
A legit food fight. Well, are we going for maiming, or are we going for light injury?
It's your
murder.
It's your world.
Yeah. We could bring.
What are you maiming people with?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Which is specifically go into Maine.
Bring hot soups.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
also the London
Disney,
broil, that might work. You just
like
slap
a
them a
permanent.
bunch with it.
What about like a Disney World style turkey leg, right? Like a big old turkey leg.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a bludgeon.
Well, actually, that was kind of one of the fun things about the book that I thought really was kind of what drew me into it, was like thinking of ways to take shit that's in the kitchen and just how would it do damage, you know?
Yeah.
Just like thinking about food, thinking about utensils, and like we didn't just want it to be nice throughout. We wanted to think of like innovative ways. Like there's one scene with the early scene with the hippo where she actually throws up an onion, slices it, and then hits them in the face and they can't see. So like stuff like that I think that was kind of the draw for John and I, was to figure out. And I've got a little like notebook of like when I watch cooking channels. All I'm thinking about is, oh, that sounds delicious. How could I use it to beat the shit out of somebody?
I love the idea. You have a couple of kids, Neil. I love the idea of you just standing in the kitchen, stock still, with a dark look on your face, and your kids come in and are like, "Daddy, what are you doing with those noodles? No."
Eat that whack back, yeah.
This is not necessarily a spoiler, but I think the book leaves itself open potentially for a sequel, potential other places to go. Is that something in the offing, or at this point are you kind of waiting and seeing what happens with the first book? So
we've talked about the idea is that there's actually going to be, if Dark Horse says yes and we move forward, there are plans for 2 more books.
Awesome.
It's kind of like my Skywalker saga a little bit. So there would be 3 books in this volume, and then we might go back and do some prequels or something like that.
Mm-hmm. They'll be not as good.
No. That's fine.
Alex,
that's
monster.
Fine. Yeah. So yeah, the plan is to definitely try to do more. John and I have quickly spoken about what the second book would be, but who knows? We'll find out.
Awesome. Well, guys, very excited about the book. Everybody should check it out tomorrow because it's great. Congratulations. Enjoy these last couple of hours before it's finally on stands. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank
you.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
All right. There we go. Once again, Neil Kleid and John Broglia, the creator of Dark Horse's Savor, which is on stands tomorrow, or if you listen to the podcast, might be right now. You can probably also get it digitally. So go check it out. It's a lot of fun.
And Northern New Jersey should be getting it later this week. That's what we've decided.
Yes, there we go. As they do everything else. And now we're going to move on to our next section, which is my favorite section because you all make it up. It's your audience questions. And for audience questions, this is very simple. This is very easy. If you're over on YouTube, just drop a question about literally anything in the comments. I'm keeping one eye on those. Also, give us a thumbs up over there. We always like a little like there. And on Crowdcast, drop a question and ask a question. I see a bunch there already, so you get the hang of it. But go for it. But Pete, to kick it off, what you drinking?
What you drinking? Also, real quick, do you have Vaseline on your camera lens? Because you have this weird.
Cool? I'm going for like a glow. I don't want people to really see my face.
Were you shooting a '70s softcore pornographic film before this?
Let me try a little bit of this.
Oh, God, that looks
making it worse.
Made it worse. They made it way worse. Are you rubbing it with your finger? What are you?
You're damn right.
Is your finger also covered with Vaseline?
Yeah, there we go.
Wow, good. Good little spit on there. Good. Whose computer is this?
Yeah, my work computer. I'm sure it's fine.
Oh, great. Okay.
Looks like you've been sucking on a cheesesteak.
Oh, boy.
Oh, God. Oh, I wasn't there.
Sucking on a cheesesteak.
To answer your question,
ready. That came out of nowhere.
I got for a Christmas present. I got a little Grey Goose, so living that that quality vodka life.
With what?
Oh, with a little bit of soda water.
Oh,
a little soda.
Just soda water.
Okay.
Wow, drinking clean tonight from Pete LePage. Loves that French vodka taste.
It's you ever get a gift and you kind of look at the person like, why'd you spend so much on this? You could have just gotten, Absolute. We could have got more booze for the price, but all right,
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you want this 3 bottles of
just
rail
suck something
vodka?
out of a car engine for me? I don't know.
Just leave some apples in the sun. They're going to have alcohol in them.
I'm having just a Lagunitas. IPA.
There's no shame in that. Just because it doesn't have 9 adjectives leading up to it. It's
I did. Well, the
good
thing
beer.
is, I made myself my 9-adjective drink last night, and I just did not want another hard alcohol drink tonight.
Okay. Wow. You have a whiskey beard, is what we call that.
What about you, Justin? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking some Miller High Life. Matches
Yeah.
my sign behind
Champagne
me.
of beers. Yeah,
It's
look at
too
you.
bright. My
Yeah,
bar
what-
sign. Boom.
Cool.
Very
Let's get
on
some
brand.
questions here. What do you guys say? First one was from Kevin. In the spirit of demon pirate chefs, what are some of your favorite strange mashup ideas in comics?
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, this is not exactly a mashup in comics, but a mashup with comics. But we've talked about this one a lot. Black Metal is just one of my favorite books because
Topical.
it really does channel the spirit of metal in manga style, and it's super, super fun and super funny. I feel like there's been a lot of books like it since, but they haven't necessarily matched those heights. It's great. Recommend that book to anybody who hasn't checked it out.
I mean, obviously, Alex loves Batman and Superman versus vampires and werewolves. The
Good mashup.
hastiest.
Avi.
I'm going to throw it out to Marvel Zombies.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Pete, the answer you should be saying is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Talk about a series of adjectives. I feel like
Yeah.
Eastman and Laird hit their heads very hard and then just were like, this.
Well, they kind of made it as a joke. They were making a joke about.
And then the joke was on the world.
Yeah.
The joke continues to be on the world.
Thank you for stealing mine and then giving me an answer, Justin. That's super nice of you.
I giveth and I taketh away. Mostly taketh.
Question here on YouTube from CT Kook. If you could get a legendary director to make a Marvel movie in their style, who would you get and what character? I was thinking of a Scorsese, Joe Fixit mom movie or a Tarantino Heroes for Hire. So what is your dream director title mashup?
Solid answers out of the gate.
Man. Like if Josh Trank could do a Fantastic Four movie.
Truly fantastic Four. Josh Trank has been your dream director for so
long. I've seen Chronicle.
Good.
I mean, I would love to see like maybe a Spike Lee Luke Cage movie. That would be really nice.
Ooh, that would
There
be
you
interesting.
go.
That's a good one.
This is a little bit of a cheat because it's going to be a television show, not by by who I'm about to say, but a Spielberg Paper Girls. I feel like would be very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is tough.
Yeah. Come on, Alex.
This is a hard
question.
Ooh.
Think about your favorite directors:
Yeah.
Trank, Trevorrow.
Man, if I could see a Trevorrow Jurassic Park movie or two,
Yeah.
maybe if Jay Bayonetta could do the second one, that would be nice. I don't
What
know.
about Mick
I
G?
gotta think about this a little bit because I keep thinking of bad answers. But
Is it Mick G your favorite director?
Yeah,
Ooh,
Mick G's my
G.
favorite director.
Yes.
Steven Spielberg Power Pack. I like that. Also, I like Tarantino Power Pack. Anybody on Power Pack would be great.
Kubrick Lock and Key by Edward Doherty. Oh, that's too creepy.
Too stressful.
Yeah.
Also, too on the nose, I think, with Joe Hill being Stephen King's son. But I like the idea. I like where your head's at. This is from Nick Kelly over on Crowdcast. Do you miss Wizard Magazine? Have any memories of it?
Oh yeah, I mean Wizard Magazine was it. I feel like Wizard Magazine and Entertainment Weekly sort of have become one thing in my mind, where it's just like all these little tiny, pre-internet boxes, where it'd be like, "Hey, your favorite thing? Here's some news on it. It's being made or whatever." Like I was like, it was just the dream to get my hands on the Wizard.
Yeah, for me, it went like what was it, like a Nintendo magazine, and then Wizard. Just like right into the other, where it was like I need to read through all of it just to make sure I knew about all the cheats and I knew about all the boards.
Nintendo
and stuff
Power
like
was that was the magazine?
yeah, Nintendo Power. Yeah,
Nintendo Power was my thing. That was the one. I actually never really read Wizard Magazine.
Huh.
I found out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I never really picked it up. Like it was always on
Weird.
the stands, and I was like, no thanks.
Only
But
later
Nintendo
did I.
Power all the time.
There was an issue of Nintendo Power that was like came out as an April Fool's issue or whatever, and they had an article or like a section over like brand hot new game, and it was about doing everyday tasks, and it was like this big joke. And then literally The Sims came out and was a huge success. They fucked up.
Yeah, they did fuck up.
They should have
wait, I thought of an answer for the previous question. Not now, but prime Tim Burton doing a Johnny the Homicidal Maniac movie would be awesome.
Whoa. Wow. Deep cut on both counts.
But that would be great. There you go. I feel good about my answer. Good.
We should check in. How do you guys feel about your answers?
We check after
every question.
Pete, how you doing? How you doing right now?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Let's all grade our answers at the end. Edward Doherty says, do you have any comics that you appreciate more purely based on the quality of the production or the physical paper? Conversely, are there any comics with paper quality, binding, or production that make them more difficult to enjoy? Personally, I don't understand how anyone could enjoy reading a DC Absolute Edition because of the weight.
I actually don't like overly glossy pages, like the sort of 90s glut comics where they're just like everything's so shiny, everything has like sort of a trading card quality. I don't like that. I would prefer newsprint, the ancient newsprint, to those overly glossy comics.
I actually conversely can't read anything that doesn't have a hologram embedded in the cover.
That's true. Yeah, you pay to have your comics fully hologram on.
I take them to the hologram museum.
Nice.
Yeah, like some people that used to exist back when I was a kid.
Some people have bifocals, but you have like a hologram thing in the bottom so you can read stuff.
Yeah. These are prisms.
3D
I don't
man
actually
over
need
here. Pete, by the way you're sitting, not to keep harping on the way you look, but you look like
Christ.
you're wearing a black turtleneck with those headphones and the porny filter on your lens. It looks like you're truly some sort of Garfunkel.
Cool, man. Great. Paper quality. Yeah, I mean, there are some trades that are like when you get them and they're new, you can't open them all the way because it will kind of like fuck it up, which sucks. But that's another reason to buy single issues, man. Just enjoy it.
Oh, yeah, give me that staple.
I agree with you, Pete. That does actually drive me a little nuts, particularly when you get to something in a trade where it has like a really nice double page spread.
Yeah,
you have that fold in the middle. So you're like, where's the middle of Superman? Where'd he go?
Is this part of it? Is his middle gone?
Oh, God. Is this the story? So, yeah, there you go.
I hate it when you turn into like a high pitched Seinfeld.
Yeah. I'll give my answer on this one, I think, like a solid B.
Pretty good, Alex. Really good with it. That's back-to-back hits from Alex. 2 base hits.
Here we go. This is from Stray Bullet. You probably already fielded this question more than once, but I don't remember. It's been too many years. How do you find your amazing guests? Do you seek you out, or do you guys contact them? Great question.
Sit back and just go through our fan mail, you know.
The little chickadees come to us. We just put our little fingers up in the air and they just flutter right down and perch.
Yeah, we let them beg for a little while. Oh, please, sir, may I please be on your comic book club show?
I'm Rick Remender. I want to come on and talk to this guy who's been insulting me for years.
For years.
For years.
That's you, Pete.
I know who you were talking about.
It's a mix. I think there are some people who are doing projects that reach out to us that we know or know of the show and are interested in, plugging it. So that works out pretty nicely. Then there are other people that I try usually on Wednesdays. I'll usually do some outreach for titles, folks that we know we really like, or titles that we really like, to see if they're interested in being on the show. For that, if we know somebody personally, or they've been on the show a bunch of times, we'll contact them directly. But most of the time it's through the PR agents for the comic book companies that will set this stuff up through. And they'll also contact us when they have a title coming up. I can't think of anything specific that's coming up, but certainly a lot of like the DC titles, they've reached out to us for their YA books, the DC Inc. books, to set stuff up. So it's a mix.
I would like to point out, someone asked about Nat Townsend. There are people like Nat who just won't leave us the fuck alone.
You killed my joke. I was going to say the only guest we have to beg to come on is Nat Townsend. We have really constantly like, come on, man, we really need you. We'd love to hear what you're up to.
Yeah. Nat, stop it.
So yeah, there you go. Question here from Nelson Martinez over on YouTube. Did you guys watch The Flight Attendant? Excuse me, Flight Attendant.
Whoa,
I really enjoyed. What?
You been day drinking there, buddy? All right?
No, I've been night drinking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crazy. We can't tell the difference between day and night in my house. We drink whatever.
It's hard to tell with Pete's filter on his camera right now. Did you guys watch The Flight Attendant? I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to next season. What did you guys think? Also, which was your favorite character from the show? Justin, you watched all the or some of it? All of it?
I just finished it last night. Very timely question. I liked it. They are doing another season. I feel like they this is maybe going to be a standalone season, and then they definitely left some doors open at the end. As far as which character I liked, I mean, it's so centered on Kaylee Cuoco's character.
Yeah.
I'm saying her name correctly. That it's hard to really go after anyone else. But I liked her flight attendant friends that we would bump into on the plane.
Is anybody else worried about her? Like, she's doing so much. I feel like she has a gambling problem or something. Where like she's on hit
shows,
TV show after hit TV show. Like what? How much?
She was on Big Bang Theory for like 8 years, and now she's on 2 TV shows, one of which is a voice acting gig. I think she's doing okay.
That's what's called success. That's what's called being
like, you've done it. Like take a little time off. Just be with yourself a little bit. Like.
You're projecting your podcast rate on her, by the way.
All I'm saying is,
she's on Flight Attendant, she's on Big Bang Theory, she's doing American God podcast, she's doing Riverdale After Dark.
And now they want her to do this MCU podcast. She doesn't have enough time to do that. That's a little pulling back of the curtain for you guys. Yep. I really like Flight Attendant a lot. I think I talked about this on Week of Geek, but I watched, I want to say the first 3 episodes, then read the book. And the book is bad. It is a bad, poorly structured, weird book that is written by a man who may have met a woman once, but it's not 100% clear that he has. And it's just wild how out of control and nonsensical the book is. The last third in particular is a total mess. So reading that as the show went on, I appreciated more and more how they took this very all over the place book and picked out elements, fleshed them out, made some bigger, made some smaller, to the point where the ending is very similar beat by beat to what happens in the book, but it's unequivocally bad in the book and unequivocally actually very good and tense on the show. So I liked it a bit. And as for characters, I was surprised how good everybody was. I never watched Girls, so I don't know Zosia Mamet very well, but I thought she was great as Annie. Good. So good and so funny. I really enjoyed her a lot. And of course, Michelle Gomez, Madam Satan herself, got to give it up for her.
Yeah, I think the
great question. Great question from the comments here from Beercat PhD. Girls was so pervy, Alex. How'd you miss it?
Great question. I actually did watch the first couple of episodes and just didn't think it was very good. By which I mean not pervy enough.
There it is.
Oh, you got to pick it up later seasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it honestly did not grab me. For whatever reason. Wow. All right, let's go over here. This is from Joe. Who's a lesser used minor villain you would love to see us get some shine put on them, similar to what has happened with Kite Man? Hell yeah.
Nice.
Good point. Matt Oberg.
Cool. A villain, a lesser known, it doesn't get much lesser known than Kite Man.
Mm-hmm. Stilt Man.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think this has been done in the comics a couple of times, but I've always appreciated when somebody figures out a way to make Stiltman work. I think Charles Soule did that really well in his run, if I remember correctly, on Daredevil. And that's great because that is a ludicrous villain. So to figure out anything with that, I think is awesome. Also, I mean, while we're on Marvel street level villains. There's been a surprising amount of good stuff with Overdrive, which is kind of a dumb concept. He could just sort of change cars into other cars. I think Dan Slott actually had a thread about what he wanted to do about Overdrive on Twitter, which is probably why it's top of mind right now. But there's been some good emotional stories with the character, which is very surprising.
I'm going to have to take Langston's answer. He loves Taskmaster. I think he is also a great villain that is underused, and I feel like benefit from a little bit more time in the sun.
The Armadillo, a great answer from Neil Kleid in the comments. I've been pushing for a while the burglar who accidentally killed Uncle Ben from Spider-Man. Give that guy a chance.
Yeah, have him team up with Joe Chill in some sort of cross-universe event.
So what if it's the same guy? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh, shit.
Or if he's like Rob Chill. It's his brother.
Joe mentions Boomerang as another example. Superior Foes of Spider-Man, if you've never read that, does an amazing job of taking minor villains and making them awesome and fun. And there was... Who was the character who became the babysitter? Was the Porcupine? Was Spider-Woman's babysitter in, I want to say, Dennis Hopeless's run?
Yeah.
Dennis Hallam now.
That's a great run of Spider-Woman, and talk about rehabilitating a character. The Porcupine arc is so great.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it out on sort of a villain that I don't like, that I would be curious to see if someone could make them interesting, would be Hush over in DC, the Batman villain, which I think was something that was so hyped and ended up being like sort of a bummer. So I'm here for some Hush.
Yeah. Suggestion over on YouTube, Jason Williams says, I wish someone would bring back Onomatopoeia from the Kevin Smith run on Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good story. That would be one.
And it's funny. I feel like Onomatopoeia is when everyone's like, Kevin Smith is great at comics. Everyone really loved that. And then I guess we'll see.
Here's a question from Randolph. Do you think Riverdale will ever give us an episode closing out Katie Keene? For example, when Pretty Little Liars spinoff was canceled after one season, they dedicated part of a PLL episode to close out the storylines from the spinoff. Could Riverdale do something similar? Sorry for the long question. Randolph, not long at all. That was nice and short and to the point. I love it. What do you guys think?
Unfortunately, we are running out of tape, so this episode will be short.
Yeah, we have right on the side of the screen here. People can't see it, but I have one of those big computers that takes up an entire wall.
Oh no, my vacuum tubes need to be changed.
Yeah, Luanadana over here says Ravenswood, the much forgotten one. I thought you were talking about PLL, the Perfectionist, for a second, but nope, the earlier spinoff. Yeah. So what do you think? Could there ever be the finishing off, tying up the loose ends from Katie Keene on Riverdale?
I know, I'd love it. That'd be fun.
I doubt it. The only I feel like we could get some Josie back in the show would make a lot of sense, but I just feel like
KO's going to be on.
They're going to KO, obviously.
Well, so the problem with the KO thing, this is coming up at the season premiere.
I don't think there's a problem with having KO on Riverdale.
Hold on. The problem with the timing, with the timing, Pete, is that it was supposed to be a crossover while Katie Keene was running because they filmed it back when Katie Keene was on. So it takes place while Katie Keene still existed. So they can't tie things up there. But going forward to the Josie Pussycats point, there's been no confirmation of this, but Asha Bromfield, who plays Melody, I believe, teased that she might be coming back at some point this year on Riverdale. So there might be some Josie and the Pussycats for real.
I think it makes a lot of sense that they would do that. It's too bad if KO had only been a little bit earlier on in the season, they would have saved Katie Keene.
Oh man, that's really sad.
That's true. That's true facts.
But yeah, I don't know if they'll do a whole episode because not enough people watched it. But I could see.
Come on,
they did it. But I could see them like bringing in characters and looping them in. I think. Bernardo, the fireman who dated. Oh my gosh, Pepper, not Pepper.
No,
Jorge.
Jorge
is probably going to be on at some point this season, so they're bringing him in. And there was somebody else. There might be somebody from Sabrina. There were a bit of rumors about that coming over as well.
It's a tight little universe that they never cross over in a big way.
Yeah, exactly. We got just a comment here. Archie and KO need to box. It needs to happen. Extra sweaty. Jason Williams. All I'll say is tune in for the season premiere.
I guess you'll see. I don't know if that boxer who's guest starring on the show will box. Because name another quality that KO has. I dare you.
His first name is K. Next name is O. And if you reverse that, that's okay with me.
I believe his name was originally KO Boxing Gloves, and he only wore boxing shorts and was always appearing inside a boxing ring. So that's sort of his thing.
Yeah.
Hey, Katie, you want to fight me, I guess?
Another one we got here from over on YouTube. Agitato says, so did we talk about Wonder Woman 1984 yet? Yes, we did several times. You can check out, we have a whole review video and podcast. The video is up on YouTube. The podcast is up in the podcast feed. But that said, we're a couple of weeks out now. Have your opinions changed at all on Wonder Woman 1984? And what do you think about just like the general reaction and fallout for the movie?
My opinions have gotten worse. It falls apart more. Whenever I think about it, I'm like, oh, it just didn't make sense. The thing that's bothering me the most lately is just how little fun they let Wonder Woman have in the movie. She seemed like so unhappy. And I don't, and like the fact that her one wish was to have her boyfriend back after she'd lived how many years after he died by herself, never doing anything. It's just like, wait, man, that's the story?
Love, all right?
A lot of people have brought up, I think it's in Batman v Superman, there's the scene where Bruce sends Diana the picture of her. She's looking the entire movie for this picture of her with her buddies from World War I, including Steve Trevor. And he finally sends it to her as a way of being like, hey, come team up with us. And she sends it back in email being like, Bruce, thank you for bringing him back to me. And people have interpreted that, I think, kind of correctly. It's like, oh, thanks for bringing him back to me. He was already here for a couple of days. I brought him back through a magic wish, but thanks, Bruce, for the picture.
Yeah.
Wow. That helps a lot.
Man. Yeah, I would love to hear Wonder Woman describe the plot of this movie in a future movie. I want her to be like, yeah, I know there's a wishing stone, but then it got absorbed into this man. And then a friend of mine became super strong, but then also a cheetah.
It was too many things at the same time. It was an overstuffed movie that never really focused on anything. It felt like, I think we talked about this on the podcast, but I keep thinking about the fact that they never brought in the Duke of Deception or whatever he's called, that they're like, oh man, this stone, it's the possession of the Duke of Deception, this master of lies. Well, anyway, moving on, here's these two other villains.
There was so much will anyway in the movie. Like, why is Steve Trevor in a random dude's body when there's no reason? All the other wishes just come true. Like, why is he's like, unless she was like, I'd love to have Steve Trevor back. Yeah, but in like sort of a douchey dude's body.
Yeah, that's what we didn't hear the full wish. That's why.
I keep trying to wrap my head around why they made that decision versus Justin. I think you brought up when we were talking about it, why they didn't just have Steve Trevor come back. And the only thing I can think of is they were like, well, plot-wise, he needs to hang around for a day. So why does he come back for a day earlier and not immediately find her? And the only reason they can think of is he wakes up in a weird apartment and then has to figure out what's going on, which is dumb.
I think they only had the actor for like half a day. So they were like, listen, we're going to put him in somebody else's body. So that way we'll just have him do some voiceover stuff. It'll be great.
But I guess, because I'm trying to think what even my sense of it was an idea from an earlier draft of the movie that they just kept in as this plot changed a little bit. Or the only other thing is like they wanted that moment at the end where she sees him and is sort of like flirtatious. Like somehow it's like, oh, I could date other men because this guy had my boyfriend's mind in his body. And it's like, that's so weird.
It's such a weird moment because it seems like, oh, wow, she's going to move on with this guy who she already had sex with when she thought it was Steve Trevor. And instead he's like, well, see you later.
Because they don't talk. He's just like, I have this scarf.
They have small chat.
But they don't like, it's not like, please, let's go on a date.
Yeah. Very strange. That all said, I'm fully on board with Wonder Woman 3, which I know is ridiculous, but like, I'm still excited for that. I think they made a lot of mistakes with this. They have plenty of opportunities to fix them or go in a different direction. We talked about this also a bit on the podcast, but I've become more and more convinced that they just need to like do something that's past whatever this timeline is. Don't set it in the 1990s. Don't set it in the 1960s. Don't set it back in time so it feels stymied and stuck in this place. Figure out a story that takes place next. What is the ultimate story that you really want to tell about Wonder Woman, the thing that you need to say? And I'm sure there'll be other movies beyond that, even though they're saying this is the conclusion of the trilogy. But like, finish it off and put it all on the table and move on.
Yeah. Put it on the table, DC.
Come on.
Yeah.
We're hungry.
Question from Pablo D. Martinez. Wears a mask here on Crowdcast. What's your favorite team-ups involving different characters from licensed properties?
Are you're talking like your
Batman
Back to the Future meets Back to the Future meets Transformers.
Absolutely. The Batman and Superman meet aliens stuff is awesome. We talked about this a couple of shows back, but so good.
Yeah. Well, Batman and Superman are both licensed, so it's nice that they get to meet a lot. So I love that.
It's a crazy when that happens. I'm like, holy shit!
They got these two together.
How'd they do that?
Yeah.
Throw in Wonder Woman. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. Throw in some vampires and werewolves. You got yourself a stew.
And everybody loves a thick soup.
Pete, what's your favorite thick soup of a comic?
Oh man, minestrone.
That is good.
I got you.
That's a good soup. But what about comics crossovers? Just to change the topic.
No one's ever asking about us about our favorite soups.
Yeah,
these real slice of life questions.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because there's like I have go-to answers that I say all the time, and I'm trying to think of something new so I don't just sound like a robot version of myself that always just says like the same things over and over again.
Punisher and Frankenstein.
Fuck you, you fucking fuckbutt.
No, this is different. This isn't Frankencastle. This is the Punisher meeting Frankenstein.
Yes.
I don't like it.
Why? It's too close to. It's a little too close to home. What if they would be great friends?
Yeah,
Why are you taking a friendship away from Punisher?
This is a character I like to call Castlestein.
Ooh, Castlestein. I'm listening.
Mm-hmm.
What about a Castlevania Punisher crossover? Keep the same name.
Okay.
It's just Frank running up and down the levels shooting ghouls.
That's good. What a horrible night to have a gun.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up your audience questions.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to move it on to our next section, which is trivia. For that, we're going to turn it over to Pete LePage.
Pete the Page.
There it is. Yeah, all right.
Wait, hold on one second.
Sucking on a cheesesteak.
There it is. 2021. The year
This
of
is
sucking.
the part we give back to the lovely audience. It's an opportunity to win $25 free to a Midtown Comics gift card, so that way you can safely buy comics online. We just need a volunteer.
Yes, there you go. That's the part.
Somebody
Somebody raise your hand. Say you want to do it either over on YouTube in the comments or over here in Crowdcast in the comments that you're interested in winning the gift card, and we will either bring it into the stream or let you play this incredibly difficult trivia contest. Yes. Anybody who wants to put their hand up first. Everybody's very reticent today, but basically just say hand up.
Anybody on the tube?
Nobody on the tube yet has volunteered. Anybody here on the non-tube, as I like to call it?
All you gotta do is hold up your finger and let the little chickadees just come home to roost right on your finger.
Justin, do you want to do it? You want
Yeah.
to do it? Oh, here we go. We got a hand up.
Okay,
Agitato over on YouTube. Trying again, even though I stole Agitato's gift card the other day, as we all know.
That's right.
Man.
This is time for me to get another $25
For yourself.
for myself. No, Agitato, I'm kidding, of course. This is your chance to win a $25 gift card. Just put the correct answers in the comments. It's going to be a little bit of a delay because it's YouTube. But Pete...
That's all right. That gives us time to be supporting cast to the star of trivia himself.
Oh, my God.
And with that, take it away, Pete.
All right, here we go. So today's trivia is on topical comic news.
Oh, but 2021.
Yeah, and will contain a small nod to the legend that is Chadwick Boseman.
Let's see if we can spot this very tiny nod.
Yeah,
It's great that you're taking this fun bit and continuing to make it very sad and poignant.
hey, it's what I do. All right, here we go. Question number 1. What original graphic novel is being pulled from the DC schedule? Is it A, Swamp Thing, Not Your Mom's Green, B, Zatanna, The Jewel of the Grave's End, or is it C, Harrison Ford? So it's either A, don't pick it, or it's B, Zatanna, which
and what was the third answer again?
Harrison Ford.
Interesting.
Wow. That's some sort of truck, right?
Maybe.
It's definitely old and busted.
Oh, come
shit.
on!
And don't let that truck fly a plane. That's what I say. I just opened a second beer, the Dreamland Session Sour from Coney Island Brewing.
How is it?
I don't know. I'm about to sip.
Oh, okay.
First step.
Ooh, we got a
It's
B.
good.
We got a B. That's
He
correct.
is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Here we go. Question number 2. What Marvel character is getting a new costume? Is it A, Spider-Man, B, Egghead, or is it C, John C. McGinley? So it's either A, if you
so
would like.
effortlessly said, Pete.
Oh, thank you. It says you. A, which
Ooh, we
would
got
be,
another B?
no,
BBB?
No, you would want to say A for this one.
Oh.
Egghead is not getting a new costume. Spider-Man is.
Yeah,
So
that makes
I'm sure-
sense. I don't know if people are clamoring for Egghead to get a new
Oh
costume.
man!
Yeah.
Speaking
Well,
of
let's see if
villains,
Agitator
that you get
says
some-
A. Yeah, that new Spider-Man costume, pretty weird. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
a story reason for it, but don't love it.
Someone's telling me stick to the pattern. You were the ones who broke the pattern. You made me break
Hey,
it.
we got an A. We got an A, Pete.
All right, great. Here we go. Wolverine. Last question.
Okay.
Wolverine number 350 paves the way for which character? Is it A, Patch, B, Joe Fixit, or is it C, Christopher Maloney? So it's either
Ooh.
A, Patch, so you can get $25, or is it B, Joe Fixit?
And I'll mention once again here in the comments, Kevin called Christopher Maloney before you said it out loud, so I think Kevin knows what this Chadwick Boseman movie is.
Yeah.
Or has Kevin been secretly ghostwriting your quiz?
Oh,
What?
God.
No way. Kevin, get out of my brain.
Kevin is Pete. We're gonna have to check his beard for that and see if he's turning into a Pete. We don't have
Alex-
an answer here yet.
Alex is Pete.
I am Pete.
Whoa. Say A.
We are.
Say
Say A. A Patch.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, there we go. Agitato, just shoot us an email at comicbookclublive@not.com. Comicbookclublive@gmail.com. And we will get you a $25 gift card to Midtown Comics. And that's it for trivia.
42 is the answer. 40. Thank you.
42. Yes.
42.
R.I.P. King.
Very nice. That is the Chadwick Bose movie that you're referencing this time. So
It's fun to watch 42, but instead of it being Jackie Robinson, say it's Black Panther. It's fun stuff. That way you
to
can
think
just
of that.
keep rewatching it over and over.
disrespectful.
Yeah.
Well, or is it? Cool
I like to
think about-
pretend it's a Douglas Adams movie.
Or is it cool to think Jackie Robinson was actually Black Panther? I mean, what?
Yeah. I guess it's all one movie, is what you're saying.
Great. This is great. Let's move on. As we all know, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day, unless you're DC Comics, in which case they're out already. That said, what are you guys looking forward to that's coming out this week? Pete?
Oh, well, I am looking forward to Firepower #7.
Any particular reason or?
That's a pretty cool book. You guys should check it out.
Great.
Cool. Way to be
Justin?
cryptic.
What about you?
I want to give a couple shout outs to the Future State is coming up out big, already out, I guess, today. The Swamp Thing title over there, I really enjoyed. Swamp Thing, the Future State stuff is feels like it's all super Elseworldsy, multiverse stuff. A lot of interesting takes on the heroes. Some are great, some are fine. I thought the Swamp Thing one was excellent. And then Eternals #1 over at Marvel, Kieran Gillen's big new title there. We talked to him about it months ago, and can't wait to read that. And let's give a shout out to Savor coming out tomorrow.
On the Future State beat, Future State Wonder Woman #1, written and art by Joelle Jones, colors by Jordi Belair. I think because we can say it's out on stands. Stunningly gorgeous book, just beautiful book. Very exciting, and I'm sure we'll talk about this more on the stack because we're reviewing that and most of the other titles that we mentioned. I know that comes up Wednesday at 9 a.m. in the Comic Book Club feed and in its own dedicated feed. But that's also being made into a TV series, being developed into a TV series at the CW, which is pretty interesting. I'm curious to.
They're the same people who did Arrow, so it's probably going to be good.
Yeah, they're developing the stack into its own. That's what you said, Alex, right? The CW is developing.
They're developing Arrow, so that should be fun.
They're pretty far along in the process. They're 7 seasons into developing it.
They're doing great. And on that note, we are going to wrap up. That is it for this week's show. A couple of people we want to thank. We want to thank our amazing guests, Neil Kleid and John Broglia. Check out Dark Horse's Savor on stands tomorrow. Also next week, it's happening, folks. Rick Remender is going to be on the show to talk Scumbag, Seven to Eternity, and of course, Frankencastle. That's the main reason we're having him on the show. And it should be great. No, we're not even going to bring it up because I don't want to tempt fate like that. But that should be fun. A couple of other things to plug. Patreon.com/Comic Book Club to support the show. We appreciate everybody's support. Also, a bunch of podcasts. We're just finishing up Chilling Podcast of Sabrina. Our Chilling Adventures of Sabrina podcast. That is almost done. I think it's finishing up on Thursday, but you can check that out on its own feed. Also, Umbrella Academy, our Umbrella Academy podcast. We have an episode
baby.
In the tank. It's coming back, we swear. American Godcast, our American Gods podcast is coming back Sunday, so check that out. iTunes, Android, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe and listen to them. Oh yeah, Riverdale After Dark, that's coming back soon too. And of course, our MCU podcast called MCB and You, the podcast, right? That's the name? I don't know. We'll figure something out. At Comic Book Live. At Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast. Good night, everybody!
Don't be late for it, 'cause their girlfriends can barely tolerate it. Comic Book Club. Comic Book Club. Comic Book
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Appreciate you. Go vote if you're in Georgia.
Too late.
Too late.
Voting's